Right. Hello, everybody. It's the Meista for Brews and Tunes. Cheers. Super excited today. I am chatting with the one and only Greg May, legendary bass player, of course, of the mighty Tyrant. Greg, thank you so much for chatting with me. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, Victor, living the dream, bro. Living the dream. So nice to talk to you, and to still be doing what I do is just a blessing.
Awesome. Yeah, and you got some. You guys have some big news right now. You got a big show coming up in about a month, a little over a month, right?
Yeah, we're going to Mexico City for the first time,
Nice.
and it's really exciting. It was supposed to happen back in the '80s, and then with, like I said, with Slayer and Lizzie Borden, our records all kind of were hitting real big in '85 at the same time, and Metal Blade called us and actually had a conference about it, what we would want to go over there. And it all came down to, we were just going to go play. It was Tyrant, Slayer, and Lizzie Borden. And we were going to do a number of shows over there, not just one, but a few, like a mini tour
Cool.
of that area. And then we heard something being mentioned about security.
Mm.
There were security concerns or something like that. And then it just went off the table. So we don't know what they were hearing on their end.
Right.
But now, as a manager of Tyrant myself, I can figure out the logistics and what's going on, and we're all clear. We're going to fly right into Mexico City.
Cool.
Me and Rocky carrying in, our guitars and bass, and going to stay at a hotel right across the street, and then just walk over there and do what we do. We're going to bring the doom.
Yeah, awesome. That's exciting. That'll be great for the. I'm sure
Yeah,
that the Mexican
it
people in that
is.
they're gonna love that. That's gonna be a killer show. And
Yeah,
who else is playing with
yeah.
you? This is a big show, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a two-night event,
Cool.
actually, they're calling it. It's a weekend of classic metal. The Friday night, or warm-up show, as they're calling it, our singer Robert Lowe is actually going to play with some, I wouldn't say fans, but some musicians over there that are big into Candlemass and Solitude Eternius.
Oh, cool.
So they're going to let Rob come in and sing. Our singer, Robert Lowe, as you might know, was from Candlemass
Yeah.
and Solitude Eternius. He's going to do Friday night. He's going to do a warm-up set with some guys that live there, and that should be exciting. Me and
Yeah.
Rocky will be out of the stage and get to see him do his thing. Both of those bands have been dead since I think the '90s.
Yeah.
They've been dead ever since. That's dead with Rob. Well, I know Solitude Eternius is totally dead,
Yeah.
but Candlemass, the thing with them that it stopped early on. So it'll be great to hear him sing, those songs with the guys over there. That should be fun. And also Hellstar, who we know,
Hmm.
they're headlining that night. Back from our day, from the '80s, they're a classic band like us. And I think Halloween, one of the two.
Oh, wow.
The logo is kind of, out there. I don't know which one it is, if it's Halloween or Halloween.
Gotcha.
But those guys are playing. Friday night's really going to be a killer show, and they're calling that the warm-up night. Then our night, the big Saturday night event, will be Tyrant with Nasty Savage,
Oh, cool.
Medieval Steel, and Attacker.
Nice. Wow.
We were all Metal Blade fraternity. I
Right.
believe Medieval Steel was. I'm not exactly sure about Medieval Steel, but I think they were. But I know Attacker and Nasty Savage were Metal Blade fraternity right there with us.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great to see those guys and talk about the old days. It's kind of like a high school reunion, but it's heavy metal,
Yeah. That's great.
It's very, very cool. And we're all still doing what we do. Everybody's a senior citizen now, pretty much. So to still be doing what we do is a real blessing. We would have never thought at 25 we'd still be doing it.
Yeah,
In our
I would
late,
imagine. Yeah.
early 60s. We never thought we'd live this long.
Right. Well, and you
Living
guys.
how we did in our 20s. But, the way God has had it, He's keeping us around for a reason. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing and bring enjoyment to people.
Yeah.
That's what it is. People enjoy what we're doing, and we're going to bring the enjoyment. Now we've sort of been labeled doom, I think, since Robert has come on board. They had talked about it before because, as you know, Tyrant, we've never really been a speed metal band, even though we have played fast.
Yeah.
been labeled speed metal, and that's why Slayer used to like us so much, and we would do so many shows with Slayer. I think we played with Slayer before they went on the road and were gone. We did more shows with them than anybody because their manager liked us. He would call me, my home number landline, in the 80s, and say, Slayer, can you guys do this show? Can you do that show? You do this show? I said, I guess we get along pretty good with you guys. He's like, well, not just that. You guys are different. He's like, every other band we asked to play with Slayer, there's no difference. They're just speed metal and growling and like Slayer 2.0. But I said, Tyrant, you guys are really different. Guys more like Sabbath kind of style, so we really dig it, and it works well. So we always had a good relationship with those guys, and they worked hard and were gone, and they deserved it. Yeah. I mean, they were playing Tuesday nights to 4 people most of the time before they made it, and we did some of those shows with them, and they were hard times, but they just paid their dues till it kicked in, and then they were gone. But excited about this show, and also excited. We had something else come up too, possibly Europe.
Oh, wow.
And next year, back to Germany. We always have like a standing invitation in Germany, and also Latin America. Santiago, Chile has been knocking on our door.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they want to put in. They've already asked me about 6 or 8 nights over there. That'll be next year. So looks like we're going to stay busy. This last record, our new record that came out in 2020. COVID kind of shut everything down, but it's definitely got the phones ringing.
Nice. Yeah, it's Hereafter is such a great album. It's a fantastic album. Just killer hooks and. Yeah, like you said, it definitely has that doom feel. But that was one thing that I always really, one of the things I always loved about Tyrant is, it was very different, especially in those early years, in the mid '80s, with what was going on in Los Angeles at the time. You had the Sunset thing with all the glam, and then you had the thrash metal thing. But then you guys were doing this cool, classic, Priest, Black Sabbath style, like. Classic metal, but it was very fresh, and but you had some speed elements and doom elements, and it was just something new and different, and I loved it. I still do, of course.
Thanks much, really appreciate it. Yeah, we always say you got to throw in some UFO and early Scorps.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah.
Because, at the time, of course, we've been Sabbath day one, me and Rocky, real Sabbath heads. I mean, even to this day, I don't really throw on a lot of new stuff. I mean, new to me would be probably like Dio's newest album before he died.
Right.
The Devil I mean, that's probably the last record I bought. I mean, I'm really old school. I'm dusting off old Sabbath records all the time and listening to that.
Nice.
Not a lot of new stuff that really, turns me on.
Right.
But, Scorpions, early Scorps with Yuli, UFO, Sabbath, of course. Early Priest, of course, like Sin After Sin albums, Savage of Destiny, and Rainbow. I was huge into Rainbow.
I love Rainbow.
Trying to tell Rocky, using the Strat.
Yeah.
He was more into Blackmore than Page or Iommi at the time when I met him. He had like a brown Strat, and he was telling me how when he was a kid, he had played Stormbringer with like a backdrop of a band behind him, and he just went out there by himself when he was 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with a Strat when he was 10. And I think he had to play a Marshall Stack at that time. He started really early, and he went out and played Stormbringer by himself.
Wow.
In front of the backdrop of a band. So that's all I needed to hear. He told me like that on the phone.
All right.
Blackmore, I've always been in Blackmore, and then Blackmore got into Rainbow.
Yeah.
And those first records, I mean, those records with Dio just blew me away, and the bass playing,
Yeah, Jimmy Bain, and yeah.
That's where we're at.
Cool.
And we're just trying to keep along those traditions,
Yeah, and doing a fine job at it, I will add. Like I said, Hereafter is such a good album. Yeah, that's cool. So I was curious. One, before I do want to talk about the past some more. But one thing. So, do you guys have any plans of recording new material? Is that something you've talked about, or I mean, maybe it's too early. I mean, you haven't even toured yet, really, or had a chance to tour yet with the latest album. But
Well, the latest album's only 24 months old.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's only because of COVID that you haven't seen us before what we're trying to do now.
Yeah.
But being that the rest, the wax is just drying on this. It's like the albums are just actually hitting some of the stores that were closed. We've been told in Europe and in Japan, a lot of the stores that were going to carry our record didn't.
Oh, okay.
Because they were closed during COVID.
Right.
So this record that came out actually 2 years almost to the day, came out on the 15th. It is only 24 months old, produced by Bill Montoyer, me and Rocky Rockwell, original members to the band. We did all the 80s stuff together, writing and playing, recording. And, of course, Bill the Monster Montoyer behind the board again for us.
Cool.
He's done all 4 albums now, Bill Montoyer. If you notice, he doesn't do a lot of people's albums anymore.
Yeah.
But he does ours.
Nice.
And so when you have someone, and then Robert Lowe on vocals in the studio, Candlemass and Solitude Eternius, we were very proud of this, all-star lineup.
Yeah.
And then to have Bill the Monster behind the board, he's accredited to all the Slayer gold records. He had them all up in his house. We didn't even know when we went to his house. He had gold records on the wall and all the Slayer stuff. He'd done one of the Fates Warning that was very successful.
Oh, yeah.
He'd done some Wasp records that achieved gold status. We didn't know he did Wasp, but I knew those guys real well. I knew Blackie. I had my time with him.
Right.
With Blackie. And Chris Holmes was like the 5th member of Tyrant for years.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a band called Buster Savage. And they used to rehearse right next door to us. And he was really good friends with our first singer. They were like best friends. That's how he introduced Chris to us. They were from Pasadena, and they all knew Eddie. They'd actually they brought one of his guitars to our practice, let us thrash it. It was the one they call the Shark. And it's on the cover of Men and Women, Women and Children First.
Okay.
The 4 of them, and they're holding a guitar. Looks like a modified Destroyer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Chris Holmes' guitar. It wasn't Eddie's.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's fascinating.
He borrowed it from Chris because it had this really heavy, cool sound. And so they ended up just taking a picture with it. And Chris was like, I didn't get any money out of that. They took a picture with my guitar, motherfuckers.
That's hysterical.
But it was that kind of starting out that we had. We're all together. We were hearing about Eddie and then Chris with Wasp. So, it's always been a lot of fun. And homegrown here in Pasadena, so much heritage.
Yeah.
With Van Halen being down the street. And we all grew up just seeing him at backyard kegger parties. I knew the bass player's brother, Michael Anthony's from Arcadia, which was maybe 3 blocks from my house growing up.
Oh, wow.
So I knew his brother. He had a brother, Bobby, who was in a band called Medusa's Revenge. And I'd see him all the time, and he'd say, hey, Mammoth is going to play, tomorrow night on Longdon and Santa Anita. And I'm like, oh, really? I'll be over there. He would tell us, get there before the cops come, Because Eddie would just get there and he'd just go on 10, And everyone would think, wow, this guy, I'm talking like 77, 78.
Okay, yeah.
17 and 18. This is before they made it big and went on tour with Sabbath.
Wow.
So I was seeing Eddie, just in a backyard party with a Marshall stack, just tearing the place down. I'm like, wow.
That was
a big influence.
Yeah, I would imagine. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, seeing somebody like that in your backyard, wow.
Well, and you mentioned, with Wasp, with Blackie, you mentioned, and I know you actually auditioned for Blackie.
Did.
Was it for Wasp or one of his earlier bands?
It was going to be Wasp.
Okay.
It was just Blackie and Randy Piper at the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he even had a drummer yet, but he did have a demo, and I just found the demo too. And he had given me the 4 songs to learn, and I went over to his house in Hollywood, his apartment, and he was there, with this hot blonde, and I was pretty blown away by him because he really had the presence of like freaking Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but he's quite a bit older than me. And at the time, I was a 20-year-old kid, and he was, I guess he must have been about 30. and just here from New York, and he was saying how he was good friends with Kiss, and how Ace Frehley was backing him financially, and that's how they had all the big stage show and everything. Ace was helping him out financially, and he was like, "Wow, this is really the big time." I'm a 20-year-old kid, you know.
Right.
But I could play. I'd been playing for 4 years, so when he gave me the demo, I just sat down and started playing. Mr. Cool, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that song by them.
Yeah, I remember that song.
Big Strangers in the Night or something like that. He had to change it for some reason.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just started playing it. I could play his material easy. But I had really gone there with trying to steal him for Tyrant.
Oh, really?
I didn't have a singer at the time, and he had advertised in a local magazine called The Recycler that he was a singer influenced by Kiss and Alice Cooper looking for a bass player. And I'm like, singer that's into Alice Cooper and Kiss? You know, it probably has a good image. So when I auditioned for him, I was thinking, well, I'm going to steal him for my band. But he was too professional. He's so professional, and he already had everything, the financial backing, and he's an older guy from New York, and blah, blah, blah. But it did make an impression on me at the time when I was 20 years old. How, wow, you're in L.A., Hollywood area, you got to really step up your game.
Yeah.
This guy was a real professional. So I was, at the time, I was telling him about my guitar player, about Rocky, and how Rocky was into, Eddie and Richie Blackmore. And he was saying about Randy Piper, he's like, I think your guitar player is probably better than mine. But mine has the rehearsal studio, so I can't kick him out. I guess Randy, and I found out later, talking to Rick Fox and some other people, that was true, that Randy Piper did have the place to rehearse, and I don't know if his parents owned it or something. But so he couldn't kick out Randy Piper, but eventually he did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And this is before Chris Holmes was in the band. So I had told Chris Holmes about it. Next thing you know, Blackie's switching over to bass, and they're bringing Chris in. So, just to be here in these times in Los Angeles, Hollywood area, there's so much music going on. Van Halen and Wasp, and seeing Quiet Riot. I saw them with Randy Rhoads and Rudy Sarzo in a little club here in Monrovia when I was, 19, 20 years old.
Wow.
It all just helped me form Tyrant and helped me stick on my own to get Tyrant going. It's like, wow, look at all this great music and what people are doing, and, why can't I do it myself? So
yeah,
I ended up just sticking with my own guns and running into other musicians as well.
Nice. So, so you formed Tyrant like in 78, right? 78, 79, around there?
High school. When I was in high school, I got real sick. I was thought I'd be playing football in college, getting my degree paid for. I played linebacker in high school.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy, but I could hit. I'd been playing since I was in Pop Warner. I knew how to put the hats to people. So I thought I had that going for me. It would keep me going. But between my junior and senior year, I got real sick. It was mononucleosis.
Oh, yeah, nasty stuff.
Kissing disease, yeah. My mom was pissed. She had too many girlfriends. But I got really sick. I mean, I missed all the summer practice, the two-a-days, the Hell Week. And I had started my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, almost all in varsity. But not my freshman year, but sophomore and junior year I did. But I didn't practice all summer, so the coach is like, hey, we can't exactly just throw you your jersey when you come back to school and say you're starting again,
Right.
Not fair to the other guys. And I just said, all right. And I took my jersey and I threw it back to him. I said, well, screw it then. I'm not sitting on the bench. But what I did that whole summer, I had started taking bass lessons in 76. I was 16. And I'd already seen Kiss at the Forum in 75. Started really, going from seeing people in little clubs to seeing arena metal. And Kiss and Montrose, that blew my doors off.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
When I was 15, especially Montrose.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out in jeans and T-shirts at the Forum. And I think they had one stack mic'd up, and they just blew the doors off that place. They did that one whole album,
cool.
The Rock Candy album.
Yeah, nice.
They opened up with Space Station #5 and some of that. I didn't even know about them at the time, but they just blew my doors off. I
Yeah,
was there
so
early.
good.
I saw the whole set. And then I heard that Sammy was from Riverside out here. He's a California dude. That kind of made me, all right, there's a California guy coming up. And then Kiss just came out. They were monsters.
Right.
You know, that Kiss Alive tour was unbelievable. And then the King of All Kings, I saw the Black Sabbath Sabotage tour with the Ramones opening up. I really liked the Ramones, but they got booed off.
That's an interesting combo.
Yeah, it was. But, they played a great rendition of Paranoid.
Oh, really?
I think Paranoid kind of shaped their sound, actually.
Yeah, I think a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, I've seen those shows, Black Sabbath Sabotage, that tour, and I was right up front by Geezer and Tony and Ozzy, and that's a show I'll never forget when I was 15. So, yeah, seeing those early influences really kind of shaped where I would go with my own musical style.
Cool.
It's been a fun ride.
When did you pick up the bass? When did you start playing?
When I was 15.
Okay.
And the reason I started in high school is because I was sick that whole summer.
Right.
Home. So I was just picking up. I had taken some lessons before, but once I learned how to tune my bass and tune to a record, I could hear an open A on a record. Okay. So I would tune my bass to that open A I would hear somebody do. And then I would just start feeling my way around the album. Next thing you know, I'm playing the songs. So that summer was huge for me. So my senior year, I got with some of the other guys on the football team that were also musicians. There was a singer. We called him the Latino Paul Stanley. He looked just Paul Stanley, but he's Latino. He kind of had even broken English a little bit, but he could put on the show, So we started doing covers. And another guitar player that had a Flying V that was on the football team. His mom bought him a brand new Flying V, so that was pretty cool. He had one of those gold Ibanez. And another guitar player that was there once in a while. He was like the Latino Van Halen. The guy was unbelievable.
Wow.
In fact, he's probably just as good as Van Halen back in those early days. He could play all the Hendrix, all the Blackmore, Sabbath, note for note, piece of cake. His dad was actually a flamenco guitarist.
Oh, cool.
So he learned how to play flamenco early on. So hearing Eddie and Richie Blackmore is like piece of cake. He'd probably been like Yngwie Malmsteen right now. I mean, if he would have stuck with it, but he just didn't stick with it. He was like, I don't know, some people, they don't take it as serious as others.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll play guitar for a while, and I'll move on and do something else. I think he got into bodybuilding or something, which probably would have messed up his guitar playing anyway. But
right.
Yeah, but those were my high school guys, and it was Tyrant. I called it Tyrant.
Wow.
Because I put it all together, and we did covers. We used to play Rock Bottom by UFO. That was one of our big songs. We could actually play that for half an hour.
Nice.
We'd go into the lead part, and I would just start holding it down with the drummer, and then these guitar players would take turns, just basically 30 minutes each, just throwing really long leads, and that was like our showstopper. Beyond the Realms of Death by Priest, we used to play He's a Woman, She's a Man by Scorpions. Sabbath, we did War Pigs. We even did some Dio, Falling Off the Edge of the World. We did Dio era Sabbath. Some other Scorpions. It was all stuff that no one had heard of almost.
Right. That's cool.
Because your regular backyard party guy from high school would be like, wow, that's cool. You write that? And you tell me, yeah, we did. Those are all our songs. So we started getting quite the reputation, But they were all covers, we knew their covers. And some people were down with it. Other musicians knew that they were covers, but your normal high school kid stumble into the party with a six-pack was just being a blur.
Right.
Hear these songs and just go, whoa,
Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah, we started getting quite a following. And it started in high school, It just kind of snowballed from there, getting better people in the band, getting more serious people, until we came to the original Tyrant lineup.
Yeah, because Rock joined in, 80-ish?
Yeah, right after I got out of high school. It was actually 79, late 79. I went to my first year of college, Pasadena City College. That was the same college that's now legendary for Eddie Van Halen.
Okay.
They have pictures of Eddie Van Halen all over the college. He went there for a while, and he took musical theory, where he learned all his keyboards and played keyboards. They weren't a rich family.
Yeah.
So once he went to the school and got involved in the music program, everything was just laid out in front of him. So he got to, really get into the keyboards and percussion, and he just, yeah. Especially now since his passing, they've gone back and I think they've dedicated a whole wing to Eddie.
Oh, cool.
In passing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody here was very, very happy to see that. We were waiting for something to happen for Eddie.
Yeah.
Really put Pasadena, okay, we have a Rose Bowl and we have the Rose Parade. Those are a big deal, but to us, nothing internationally was as successful here in Pasadena, California, as Edward Van Halen and the band Van Halen. So whenever I went there, I was in the bass. I took bass classes there. I said, hey, why not? Something I can get an A in. Right. So I would drag my bass to school and go into class. And one night before I would go into class was a guitar class. And the guitar players would all be staring down the bass players as they'd come into class. And the bass players were staring down the guitar players as prospective people to jam with. Mm. And me and this one guy kept looking at each other. We were all guys that had long blonde hair. And he was kind of Frampton-ish looking. I kind of thought, I'm kind of looking for someone more edgy.
Yeah.
he had the Peter Frampton look going. But eventually he hit me up. He's like, you want to jam after school sometime? And I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. You ready to play some Sabbath? And he started laughing. He's like, no, not really Sabbath, but, I know some UFO. I'm like, oh, okay. We found a common bond with UFO.
Cool.
And he was kind of a Schenker wannabe. He could play the rhythms really good. But, not many people can pull off Michael Schenker's leads.
No.
So that wasn't a big deal. But anyway, we hit it off, and he was a good dude. We hung out. He actually lived in Pasadena. So we go back to his garage and jam. And he ended up being our singer and rhythm guitarist.
Oh, okay. And
that's when, through another guy, the Latino Paul Stanley I told you about, Richard, he had told me about Rocky. He called me and he said, Greg, you got to check out this guitar player from Arcadia. He's a monster. He's like, I tried to get him to jam with me, and he kind of blew me off. I'm like, why? What happened? He's like, well, I don't think he thought I was a good enough singer. But he's like, this guy in his room has 2 full Marshall 100-watt stacks and this brown Stratocaster. He was like playing all this Deep Purple. And I'm like, oh, that sounds happening. Yeah. So I went up right away. He's like, threw open the door for me. I walked in with my Judas Priest T-shirt, my long hair. I had a van to move all my gear. So I actually picked up Rocky that night. It was like 79. So I met Doug, and then I met Rocky through Richard. This is all like 79. I was 19.
Wow.
Rocky's a year younger than me, so he was 18. But, I mean, we had all this gear, and I know, spoiled California kids, I guess, I guess that's kind of part of it. I mean, we had all our gear, we had cars, and motorcycles, and kind of spoiled kids. We had everything to play the game. We just hadn't put everybody together right yet, but we were on the right path because we had the right influences.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, some of these other guys around here, like we used to run into like the bass player for Stryper. He's a cool guy. But like his band would play like Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith or Thin Lizzy. To us, it was kind of like, I know they're good bands, but just, I don't know. We'd always wanted to be more badass.
Right.
Wear black all the time, and play Sabbath and stuff, and be more the bad guys. We weren't trying to play cute rock and roll by any means.
Right.
And, it just got darker and darker, and as we went on. But yeah, 79, 80, eventually when me and Rocky hooked up.
Cool. And then, so Glenn joined in around 82, right?
Yeah, Glenn, my brother, 3 years younger than me. So when I was 19, 20, I mean, he was just a teenage kid, but he was a big kid. He was about 6'3" by the time he was 15. 200 some pounds. He was really meant to play football. He had like D1 offers and, all league, all valley, all state, D end. I could go on and on about his sports, but with his attitude, everything led to not. He went out and talked to these people about playing certain positions, and he'd tell them no. My parents would be pissed. Are you serious? You get your college paid for.
Right.
So, even though he had the talent and the size and all that stuff, he just had a bad attitude. So he got kicked back down. They told him to go to Pasadena City College and play at a city college for a while and actually gain weight because he was kind of tall and skinny. If he really wanted to stay a D-line in D1 college, it was Washington State Huskies.
Oh, okay.
Who would pull ride, and he was got to gain like 50 pounds. He didn't want to do that either. So he comes down the hallway to me and he's like, he was really down and out. And he's like, parents are pissed. It looks like football's over for me. He's like, Greg, what I really want to do is be with you, man, and play music with your band.
Cool.
And I'm like, well, you've been pretty good at lugging my gear. I'm going to lose a roadie, He's like, well, I'll still move your gear, but let me have a chance to jam with you guys. And I said, all right, I'll think about it. And then it's funny that Rocky's little brother also played guitar, and he was good. Mm. He was really good, too, Michael Rockwell. And he was the same age as Glenn. And then Glenn started thinking, well, maybe me and Michael jam. It's like Tyrant 2.0.
Yeah.
Jam. And then Mike came over, and they jammed in the garage with Glenn. He wasn't there 15 minutes until he spun the tires and got out of there. I think Glenn had a crappy attitude again or something. Told him, you play where shit or something. And here Glenn hadn't sang a note, really. But the thing with Glenn is he would hear all my music from down the hallway. Glenn's favorite people were Bowie and Elton John.
Interesting. Huh.
Nonstop. He would, that one record, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, the Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I'd hear him singing that stuff all the time. He loved that stuff. He really did. And then he loved some of the David Bowie, Diamond Dogs era.
Yeah.
Genie lived on his back, or whatever that stuff is. I couldn't stand that stuff. I just slammed the door and tell him, turn that shit off. It wasn't dark, it wasn't heavy, and that's where I was.
Right.
But I knew he was interested in singing. So long story short, I said, all right, okay, well, looks like you can't make it with Rocky's guys. I guess I'll bring you with me. And at that time, it just floored him for me to tell him that because I hadn't mentioned anything to Rob Roy, the drummer, or Rocky Rockwell that I would bring Glenn in. I told Glenn, well, I just felt sorry for him. I mean, he didn't have football. It looked like he couldn't, dial anybody else in to play music with. He was a loner anyway.
Okay.
He was an artist. He did incredible art. In fact, everybody that used to see his art, why aren't you an artist for a living? I mean, the guy is incredible.
Wow.
He used to do these wax figurines of like devils and stuff. Should have. Yeah, he'd do these wax figurines of devils and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, this guy, he should be doing stuff for the movies.
Yeah.
He had no managerial or people skills to sell himself or meet people. He just had talent, but it went to waste. So anyway, I call Rocky and Rob. I tell them, hey, be at practice tonight. In fact, I'm not telling Doug to go. It's just going to be us. Let's work on some music. And the guys are like, yeah, cool. See you there. No big deal. Screw Doug. Doug was all right, but he was just kind of, like I say, he was like Triumph trying to jam with Sabbath. Yeah. Good. He just didn't have the style. So next thing you know, I get Glenn. I tell him, all right, here, you got to wear a bunch of my stuff. You got to go in dress the part. So, I had a bunch of leftover studs and spikes, and I didn't wear any of it because it was like a Tuesday night for practice. I had Glenn completely metaled out. I mean, just wearing all my gear, a Priest shirt or Sabbath shirt. He'd take them and tear them all up and wear them. And when Glenn came walking in, they're like, what? Oh, shit. And I'm like, yep. Doug's out, Glenn's going to be in. They're like, well, let's hear him sing. And I'm like, well, I've heard him sing, David Bowie and Elton John. They just started laughing their asses off. And Rocky's like, well, if he could sing that stuff, he could probably do metal then.
Yeah.
Because actually some of that stuff's pretty good. So, all right. So not to make it too much about Glenn, but Glenn, let's just say he aced it.
Yeah.
With the stage presence, the look, his little devil stuff. I mean, he was reading some books to get inspiration for the art he was doing. That's for sure.
Right.
And but then we just started doing a lot of originals. We said, oh well, what would you do to this? because we started turning a corner where we were getting away from the covers and starting to do originals. And he just right away started coming up with lyrics and screams and stuff.
Yeah.
We'd look at each other and go, "Whoa, this is more how we want to be," And he just fit.
Yeah, it's interesting too that you say, you mentioned that, that he was kind of,
Strange.
yeah, awkward a little bit, but because he is such a good front man, like you see that, the footage of him.
Natural.
Yeah, he was, very, yeah, just seemed very natural, and just, he would, kind of grab the camera, I mean, you just were kind of transfixed by, I watched a video recently of an old, from the first album.
Yeah, he's a massive dude. Actually, if you look at the footage from Keep It True in 2009, you can really grasp how big this dude was and how he should have been playing football. But like I said, he couldn't work very well with coaches telling him what to do and stuff. It's too bad, It's too bad. But he ended up being that way with everybody. He ended up kind of getting that way with us. And as we'll, I guess, lead later to later questions, that's what happened with him with Hereafter. That's why he's gone.
Oh, okay.
He was trying to take his own road and his own thing, and sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because you guys cut your first demo in like 82-ish, right?
Yeah.
So soon after.
We had our own money. When we were 22, I was 22, Rocky 21, Rob 22 or 21. Other than Glenn was like 14, but no, he wasn't that much younger. He's 3 years younger, so I was 20. He was like 17.
Wow.
And we said, but he had all those influences. I mean, I'd been listening to this music since I was like, fifth or sixth grade. My mom bought me a Black Sabbath record.
Oh, nice.
And I thought it was actually like a Halloween sound effect album. Yeah, Ralph's grocery stores used to sell albums at the grocery stores out here in Los Angeles, Southern California. So you could get records when Mom went grocery shopping.
Nice.
And I saw this Black Sabbath record when I walked in. I was like 10. I think it was 1970, their first record.
Yeah.
And it was like just before Halloween. I said, "Hey, you got to get me this record. It looks like I'll be putting it on during Halloween while we hand out candy." And sure enough, I did. I put it on that Halloween, and I just never stopped playing it.
Scared the hell out of the neighbors, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I discovered this music early on when I was young. That's probably like 1970.
Yeah, that was
1970. 10. So, this music had been around for quite a long time that I was influenced by.
Nice.
But these early influences sort of paved the way for what we would become.
Yeah. And then you, I apologize, I don't know if I have the timeline right, but so the demo came out, and then was it around that time?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It's my fault. 82. Yeah, we all came up with our own money. This is before we ran into Metal Blade.
Okay.
We all came into it with our own money. I think it was like, wasn't much. It was like $50-$60 a piece. And Rob knew about the studio in Sierra Madre. He's like, "Guys, we got to get a decent demo. Let's all go to the studio down the street from my house. I already talked to the guy. He'll let us come in." We were just like these big kids to this guy, Yeah, let them come in. I'll take their cash. Come in, set up live, throw some mics in front of us, and basically no overdubs, just live. And, that way we have a decent cassette,
Right.
To play for people, like who we are, or to get a booking somewhere. They want to say, "What do you sound like?"
Yeah.
So it was a great idea, and we went in and we did these 2 songs. One of them was Into the Flames, and the other song was Heavy Steel. And they're out there somewhere. They're on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we did the 2 songs. We paid cash. We were there like 8 hour a day and just knocked them out live, and that was a lot of fun.
Cool. Do you still have the masters? Do you still have the master tapes from those sessions?
I do somewhere.
Cool.
But it was cassette. It was on cassette.
Oh, yeah.
they didn't give us anything, and we didn't even know. We were so young, we didn't even know to ask for anything else.
Right.
But we all walked away with a cassette,
That's
and
cool.
it's kind of warped now. But it was we didn't know. Very short time after that, we would be in the studio with Metal Blade Records, Bill Montoya, and
Yeah.
recording back Armageddon for Metal Massacre 3. And
Yeah, that's cool.
that was like hitting the big time now.
Yeah. So you did Metal Massacre before Legion of the Dead, right? So that Metal Massacre kind of helped
Yes.
launch. Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
what I thought, but I wasn't sure about
Yeah.
the timeline there.
Yeah. Exactly. We did Metal Massacre 3, which came out in 1983. That cemented our name, Tyrant, and the four guys in the band, me being the leader, CEO, with Metal Blade Records. They had us down as we were the first Tyrant in '83 to put a song out worldwide.
Nice.
And, here's the names of the guys in the band. Here's the name. Here's the logo. '83, bang. And then he had told me, this was after we played the Troubadour. We had run a big ad in a local magazine called BAM Magazine. And we played at the Troubadour, which was a great place in Hollywood to play. And they were there. Actually, Betsy and David from Bitch were with them.
Oh, cool.
We're with Bill and Brian Slagle. So these four people come up to us after our show that we have no idea who they are. And they were just going, man, you guys are heavy. You guys killed it. We're with Metal Blade Records, and it was the typical fat guy with a cigar, Slagle.
Right.
He was a big 300-pound guy with a cigar in his hand, pretty much. And hey, boys, you're signed to a record deal. We're like, don't sign anything.
Yes.
Don't sign. You're going to sign your life away to the devil.
All right.
And then I'm like, here's my phone number. Call me. We wanted to see if it was real. And it was my landline phone at my mom and dad's house, and he called like the next day.
Oh, wow.
Someone's on the phone for you, this Slagle. And oh, okay. He's like, no, we're serious. You guys killed it. You guys are a great metal band. We've got these compilation records that, the other bands had been on that, of course, we hadn't heard of. Those wasn't Van Halen or,
Yeah.
Quiet Riot or some of these other bands we'd heard of. It was like Malice and something else. I had heard about Metallica because I had my run-ins with Lars before, around the Wasp time.
Oh, okay.
I had met Lars and went down that route. And then they were on there. So that's when I knew it was real. I said,
Yeah.
This guy, Lars, it was weird to hear about him because everything went full circle,
Yeah.
And yeah, that guy? Yeah, I know who that guy is. I talked to him too. Anyway, so we went in the studio with Bill Montoya, and then our demo just kind of became, the cassette kind of was trashed, because now we're in there with Bill. We had so much respect for Bill. He was so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was great. In that studio in Hollywood, he had track record recording studios, and then they just started running every band known to man through there.
Right. Right.
Everybody in L.A. anyway, and there was a million of us.
Yeah.
I mean, there was Tyrant and Warlord and Armored Saint and Malice and Abattoir, and the list just kept going and going. So when we came out on the Metal Massacre Volume 3, wow, things just started really going crazy worldwide. We started getting snail mail at my mom and dad's house.
Oh, really? Like fan
Yeah,
mail?
you guys are getting more mail than we are. Good. Start paying the bills around here. It's like my mom's mailbox was just getting stuffed. Magazines that wanted interviews and mail from Japan and Russia, just all over the place. It was getting pretty mind-boggling.
Wow.
And yeah, they said your song Armageddon had really blown up. It was getting a lot of airplay. We said, well, that's really cool. What's next? And they said, well, we want to do an album with you guys. And we're like, wow, this is too cool.
Yeah.
Really? We want to do a whole album. We'll put it out. We'll put you in the studio. We'll pay for it. Just, it was like red carpet just started getting rolled out, And we're like, wow, this is awesome, All these gigs. Like I said, then we started playing like big shows with Slayer and Sabotage.
Oh, wow.
King, everybody, all these big bands that come through town. Slayer, we were just always playing with up and down the coast until they got signed and were gone. because the manager liked us. We must have done at least a dozen shows in like 1 year alone.
Wow,
You know,
cool.
yeah, with Slayer, yeah. And so sure enough, you know, and it's funny because being that we were sort of upper middle class families, we weren't like you hear about Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue making it. They were living in a garage, and
Right.
rats were chewing on their feet in the middle of the night. You know, we had swimming pools and pool tables. You know, homes with views that overlook the valley. And,
Right.
you know, beautiful girlfriends. You know, we didn't really worry. Well, what do we need? You know, we
Yeah.
didn't feel that early on, but we were just stupid kids, really.
Right.
These big kids. My parents had a construction company, and me and my brother would like demo apartment buildings with sledgehammers, cranking heavy metal,
Nice.
getting paid good cash, you know, to do these demo jobs. We would just swing sledgehammers all day and get paid cash and crank Sabbath on the ghetto blasters and these abandoned apartment buildings in downtown LA.
That sounds pretty
You know,
good.
we were down there right in the ghetto.
All right.
Two kids with long blonde hair cranking heavy metal, and we weren't trying to, you know, get any attention on us at all, right?
Right.
like guys didn't get shot, you know.
Yeah.
Why? We get along. We got along with everybody.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know,
That's cool.
we'd go to the donut shop in the morning on Florence and Normandy, and that's where the biggest riot in LA ever happened.
Oh yeah,
Truck
that's right.
driver got, you know, pulled out and just about killed, and everyone else was shot.
Yeah, that
You know,
was...
we worked down there for almost 2 years. Me and my brother are doing demo. And we'd have to stand in line at the phone booth to call into our office to get our next location, and it'd be all these, you know, homeboys trying to sell us stuff. Hey, you guys look like partiers. You want some of this?
Right.
But we got along with people. We didn't, you know, there was no problems down there. We never thought about any problems with any of the boys down there. We just, you know, it just never happened with us. And then we'd see it on TV. We're like, whoa, what went wrong?
Yeah.
You know, we never had those problems.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy.
so we had money. We came from upper middle class homes. We kind of had it nice. We practiced at this studio that Slegel used to come out to every once in a while, just to in awe. We used to practice at a mansion in San Marino, California. Google that.
Okay.
The city of San Marino, I think the average home in San Marino is about $5 million.
Oof.
That's the average. You know, they're like mansions. And actually, Van Halen used to practice there. It's another Van Halen story.
Oh wow.
This rich kid built a studio in his house in a mansion, and his mom was never there. She was like the most famous baby doctor in like Los Angeles. They'd fly her all over the place to deliver like quintuplets and stuff. And this kid had a Porsche Targa when he was like 16. Yeah, spoiled kid.
Yeah.
So anyway, he hooked up with Van Halen when they were early days and started, you know, giving them a place to practice and built this studio. Anyways, once they were gone, it left it vacant, and then Rocky ran into him. Rocky started knowing this guy and said, I have a band. He said, well, move in, you know. And we moved in there. Oh, my God. It was amazing. It was like practicing in a haunted mansion. Wow. Because it was like it had tunnels in the backyard for Prohibition times.
Oh, really?
Where you could run down in there with your booze, and it would take you to the Huntington Library and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
It had a history on this. You have to go to the library and look up the history on the house. A bunch of people got killed and supposedly haunted. So anyway, it ended up being perfect for us.
Nice.
We ended up moving into this place, and he was never there. It's like no one was ever there but these 10 Doberman dogs that had their own room upstairs. They used to roam this mansion, you know, 10,000 square foot home. So we had all this crazy stuff, you know, growing up as a band. Now we fall into this studio, and we're having like parties there and stuff. Oh man, it was really creepy too. You go out inside to take a leak in the middle of the night, and like, oh man, it's just the cold air, just in the middle of the summer, would be coming on the back of your neck. You know?
Right.
You're out there taking a leak in the middle of the night, and you're hearing stuff, and you know there's no sound. You're like, wow, but it was perfect. It totally fed into our heavy metal persona.
Yeah, definitely. Did that have any influence on the name of the album, on the Legion of the Dead?
So we wrote Legions of the Dead there.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah.
And it just, you know, being in that place at that time was a real influence on us too. This big old haunted mansion. I drive by it to this day. I look, and they've made a lot of changes to the house, but it's just a creepy place, man. Just you don't know what's happened in these houses, but all those houses there's history, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the houses were built in the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
They're just mansions.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. That's cool. Yeah, so of course, Legions of the Dead came out, and yeah, what a great album that is. And it's it's cool because just Bill's work on that album. I mean, you listen to it to this day, it's so crisp. I mean, just the sound, it's such a great album. Just it has such a rich sound. And
Bill, Bill McCoyer, we give it up to Bill. We just love him to death. He's the greatest guy too. He's just the coolest dude. And he's so respectable. I mean, I think he went to USC.
Okay.
A graduate of music academy and all this stuff. I mean, he's a real deal.
Yeah.
He's a real deal, and he's so cool. And we got along with him so good. And being that he loves metal as much as we do, he knew what we were going for, and he just tapped into it.
Yeah.
I mean, the backward masking and everything. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
If you know, in Legions of the Dead at that time, there wasn't a lot of backward masking. Well, you have to get my charging wire. There wasn't a lot of backward masking being done. Let me hold on real quick. I have to get my charging wire. My phone's dying.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know if he had started the backward masking or if he just knew how to do it, but he's like, let's do some backward masking. We're like, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. And so he had us just record some stuff, that wasn't a song or anything. Basically, just sort of like just fooling around in the studio. Mm-hmm. And he recorded that. And then he said he's going to do his thing and talk to us the next day because he needed to do it. It wasn't anything we needed to record. It was just all going to be on him. So we take this cassette home, and we were wondering, what did we end up doing on there? It's like 3 a.m, and we throw in this cassette tape, and of course we'd been, partying all night in the studio. We throw this cassette in, and oh my God, the sound, and we're hearing this stuff at 3 a.m. after being in Hollywood all night, and I mean, we shit bricks. We're like, what the hell is this? It's like Satan is talking. We had no idea what it was going to be. And he, in turn, tells us, you guys, I don't know if he was just playing with us, but he said, that was just you guys fooling around in the studio. I haven't even done the backward masking yet.
Oh, wait.
So we looking at each other and going, what the hell happened there? I mean, it was basically like Satan was talking.
Right.
Like where someone you would hear Satan in a movie.
Right.
Talking in tongues or something.
Yeah. And
we'd actually played some music in the studio. The music wasn't there. This was just straight like Satan talking.
Weird.
In tongue. Yeah, So that, again, set a tone for that record. Having these things like that happen, and then the mansion, rehearsing there, and weird stuff happening there all the time, things getting, our music, I guess they were saying the spirits there didn't like our music. It was older people, like, Prohibition people, spirits that were in this mansion, and they didn't like us. And they didn't like our music. They didn't like us being there. We were too noisy. Having too good of a time. So they would do all kinds of stuff on us. They'd be like the bathroom door would lock itself and we couldn't get in there.
Weird.
Bathroom in there, and the bathroom door was locking all the time. Like nobody locked it, And then we had things like we'd be recording and then we'd go to listen to it back, and like it just turned off on itself. We started living this life from about 84 when we moved into that place almost up to the time of Too Late to Pray, because we were still in there.
Okay.
The second record in the studio, and we were just going through all this. I don't know if it's metaphysical or what they want to call about it, but there's a lot of paranormal stuff. Now, it's funny. Now they have all these TV shows.
Yeah.
About, paranormal experiences and stuff. It's like, dude, preaching to the choir, man.
Right. Yeah. Go to the mansion.
Yeah, it's too bad they sold the house and they moved to Malibu.
Mm.
They got rid of the old house. It was just an old house to them, but it was a really awesome old house. I think they sold it for, gosh, millions.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
They moved. We'd heard the family had moved to Malibu, of course. That's where all the rich people live.
Yeah.
If we had still had it in the paranormal, we would have brought those people in a minute, and made a TV show there. That would have been cool.
Yeah. So you guys trying to record an album?
Yeah.
Things are flying off the wall, turning off.
Like Bill had been there. He'd visited us there. And he said he got some weird vibes there too. And he was saying, spirits don't like sometimes our style of music or how we roll. It's weird to think that. You'd think they would, but no. It's like most spirits are from way the early days, like
right.
Different kinds of music altogether. So they weren't down with it.
Yeah, you guys are too noisy.
Yeah, kind of stuff. Yeah, and everyone partying and being loud, and yeah. But no, it's just thing. And we were in our early 20s, and we were just kids ourselves. So it was really mind-boggling to us. Luckily, we were like big, tough kids. Construction workers and football players.
Right.
So we weren't going to be easily scared.
Yeah.
But anyone else, they would have been out of there in a minute. It's like,
yeah,
oh.
I think I would have been out. That's funny. So, so you recorded that album there, or you in that studio, and then
we wrote that album there. We recorded it back at Cherokee Studios, Bill, where we did the song for Metal Massacre 3.
Okay, gotcha.
That was still the thing. Did
you also record Too Late to Pray there as well? At the Cherokee
Too
Studio?
Late to Pray? It's funny you say that. Well, Too Late to Pray didn't happen for 2 years later.
Yeah.
We didn't get in the studio to do Too Late to Pray till like 86, about a year later, due to contractual obligations. That record, Legions of the Dead, did great.
Yeah.
I had friends calling me. The band Bloodlust, remember them? They were on our label too.
Yeah.
Earl, there was an Earl in the band, Mendenhall. He ran a little record store, heavy metal store. He ran it here in the San Gabriel Valley. And Legions had come out, and everybody. We were on the radio. We're getting all these things sent to us. How great the record's doing, and well, we hadn't gotten any mailbox money, but and we weren't making that a big prerequisite either. We just loved playing music, but everyone started getting in our ear about it, writing us letters. Hey, you guys are cashing in. You're on the radio all the time here. Your records are doing real well. And then I get this call from Earl from Bloodlust, and he says, Greg, you sitting down? And I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, you better get over here. What's Metal Blade telling you about your record? And I said, well, he says it's doing all right. He's like, dude, you're in the top 10 import charts with Heart and Def Leppard.
Oh, wow.
And in Kerrang! Magazine, which at our time, Kerrang! Magazine was the Bible for heavy metal.
Oh, yeah, they were huge.
You did have heavy metal magazines here, Hit Parader, and some of the other ones, but they're mainly all hair metal.
Yeah.
Selling the magazines to the girls. But I'm like, really? So I got over there. Sure enough, he had 2 issues back to back put away for me behind the counter. He's like, Greg, look, for 2 months, you guys are in the top 10 import charts in Kerrang! Magazine. You couldn't pay them to put us in there.
Wow.
And you're in there with Heart and Def Leppard. I mean, Def Leppard had that huge record.
Yeah.
I can hear the music in my head. Yeah, it's that album. Never cared until I met you.
Yeah.
These songs were on the radio nonstop. And I think that record sold millions of records.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And the Def Leppard one, I believe, was High and Dry.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the name of those songs, but I know where where they were on the radio night and day.
Yeah.
Well, we're like sandwiched between them.
Cool.
We're like Def Leppard's above us, Hearts between us, and Tyrant Legions of the Dead is right there. So I started thinking, I'm like, wow, you know, maybe there's some money to be made here. I mean, these guys are probably making millions right now. One was on Warner Brothers, the other one was on Atlantic or something. I mean, these are reputable labels.
Yeah.
So we starts going back and forth with us with Metal Blade, because right away, once the Legion started, there was an option for our second record to do Too Late to Pray. But they wanted to pick up the option and do Too Late to Pray, and we were happy. We were happy. Bill and Brian Slagle, you know, we wouldn't be anywhere without those guys. Don't get me wrong. But we kind of started thinking, what's going on here, you know? So it took a while. It took 2 years to actually come to an agreement.
Oh, okay.
Before we would get back in the studio to record for Metal Blade again. And it kind of hurt us, seeing that it took so long, that we didn't really come off the momentum of Legions of the Dead, being that it was 2 years later. But Combat Records also wanted to sign us.
Oh, okay.
They Merciful Fate, Venom, and Sabotage, which were three bands that we had really grown to respect. And they said, well, if Metal Blade doesn't want you, then, you know, or ain't gonna do anything with you, come to Combat Records. And they had contacted us through fax.
Oh, right.
At a business I was working. And they wanted to sign us really bad and put us out there with those guys. They loved us. But Metal Blade had told them, no, get away from them, they're ours. We have the option on their second record, blah, blah, blah. So the record comes out and both their names are on our record.
Oh, interesting.
A Slayer record like that, too. It's one of, I think Hell Awaits had Combat on there, too.
Okay.
And Metal Blade. I guess they, you know, co-did it or whatever. So, you know, we did Too Late to Pray, and Too Late to Pray, as you probably know, was quite a step up from Legions of the Dead. We weren't just in one little recording studio like we were for Legions of the Dead. That track record in Hollywood, we used numerous studios, and they were really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, really nice studios. There was a lot more money on the table this time around. We were in some really killer studios, nice ones. I mean, track record was cool at the time, but it was like a one-room building in the ghetto of Hollywood, you know?
Wow.
You had to kick homeless people off the front door to be able to get into the place. That's what it was like. And that was back then. I think it's closed now.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, Too Late to Pray. There was a lot more money on the table. We were going some really nice places, being treated very well. We got a financial advance. As you notice, we're all wearing like custom leather outfits, not stuff that we just threw together for Legions out of our closets. You know?
Right, yeah.
Custom leathers, endorsed with BC Rich. Rocky had another guitar built, custom. I had a custom bass built. It was quite a step up for Too Late to Pray. But it took a while to get that all done. It kind of hurt our momentum. But to this day, we have people say Too Late to Pray was better. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Too Late to Pray is as good as Legions? Or Legions?
Yeah.
I would validate any opinion you have.
Yeah, that's tricky because I love them both. And I mean, there's the one, yeah, like as you said, like Too Late to Pray is such a well-produced album. And
Yeah.
as is Legions as well, but you know, one thing I think I just loved about Legions is it's a little more raw, which, and it just, you know, I mean, it was your first album, it was raw, it was exciting, but yeah, I don't know, that's a good question because they're both great in their own rights.
Well, thanks so much, appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't
We were
know.
very proud of them, but we were very proud of them, but. Not to cut you off, but Legions, we had been playing those songs for so much longer.
Right.
And had played those in the studio, in gigs, live, so much longer. Like I say, those songs, we started playing clubs and stuff were in like 83, 84. And then we did that record in 85. So we had like 2 years to really bang those songs live and, pretty much bring that live feel to the album once we recorded it.
Yeah.
Too Late to Pray, once we decided we were doing another album, we're like, well, we better get to work. And it took us about a year to write Too Late to Pray. And then we did a handful of gigs, not as many, a handful of gigs, just that material. We didn't play anything from Legions, just from Too Late to Pray. We did some shows, which gave us a bit of a live feel. So when we went into the studio, we could bring that again. That's kind of what we like to do.
Yeah.
Bring live feel to the studio, but not as much. So, people who are like, I do like them both, but Legions, man, there's something about Legions, those songs. I'm like, well, we lived with those songs quite a bit longer.
Yeah.
Than we did with Too Late to Pray. And that's the only difference. But, man, we had so much more money. So much more money, and everything was so much, first cabin for Too Late to Pray. Right. I mean, we were in all studios. We went to a special studio for the drums, special studio. Then we brought in to do my bass. And then for guitar overdubs, we went to another studio. Like Rocky, I'll tell you, he was chained to his amplifier for like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was up in the hills and had a swimming pool. Like, we had free reign of the house. Like,
nice.
It was so good. Like, well, Rocky's going to be there for 2 weeks. Bill pretty much made us go from, pretty much a Black Sabbath, Van Halen, Sabotage, 4-piece sound to, like Judas Priest or Iron Maiden.
Right.
He had Rocky do so many overdubs. And we'd hear it back and go, wow, that sounds incredible. I get it. But it really didn't sound like us when you'd strip it back and have us play live.
Right.
It's so much different. It's like, it sounded more like Sabbath. That's like those are our homeboys. That's what we really sound like.
Yeah.
But the records were just, layer after layer of guitars, which sounded great. We loved it. But, it just didn't sound like us live.
Yeah.
But that's what happened with Too Late to Pray. We had so much more money that we were able to put more time into it, and we bought the keyboards back that we had brought in on the first album. We had a keyboardist come in, paid him to work on the record, and no complaints.
Yeah,
no complaints. It was great, But unfortunately, that record came out. I think it came out in like '87.
Yeah.
And then once it finally really started hitting the stores, it was like almost '88 to where we really started getting our feedback. Started getting feedback on what was going on worldwide anyway. Mm-hmm. And then once they had started talking about tours, it was almost like '89.
Oh, wow.
And then what happens in '90? Nirvana.
Yeah, grunge hits.
So about the time we started building our Tyrant's momentum, as this heavy metal, now to go on to be called Doom, metal band, now the rug gets pulled out from everybody. And it's, this kind of metal just isn't the thing anymore. It was really the hair metal, I think, that went for the count. But it was definitely L.A. and Hollywood, everywhere we were all this time, just vanished.
Right, yeah.
Went up to Seattle. And the scene was gone. No one was hanging out. It pretty much vanished. And we all started, they asked more questions, but we started, getting into our home life and building our homes.
Yeah, I was wondering, because, the next album was, almost 10 years later, with King of Kings. I mean, that's 96, so it was, it took a while. So, yeah, it sounds like you guys kind of took a hiatus,
Yeah. Well, the funny part about it is we were still all together. we took a hiatus as far as putting out records and really doing a lot of shows because it was just dead.
Yeah.
If you didn't sound like Nirvana and wear a Pendleton, the bookers weren't even talking to you. It was over.
Right.
So I got married in '91. Beautiful lady. Unbelievable lady that I'd been dating. Rocky got married, I think it was 92 or 93. Glenn got married. Rob got married and divorced. Glenn, yeah, got married and divorced. So they started going through like, kind of the rough lifestyles when that kind of stuff happened. And Glenn had a kid.
Hmm.
And he had a kid that was born with a hole in her heart.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, and she survived.
Oh, good.
She survived, but these kind of started going through stuff like that. Definitely put him back into a shell. He wasn't rehearsing with me. Me and Rocky like never missed a beat.
Okay.
And whatever drummer we had Tom Meadows, we had Ron Price. We would pick up drummers along the way, kind of almost like Spinal Tap, because the drummers would jam with us, and we weren't really doing anything. So, we wouldn't want to lock some guy down, and we're not doing anything. We're just working on new material,
right.
Which was great that we did. It was great that we did. But I bet you have a question that leads up to all of this. But yeah, Too Late to Pray came out, a ton of magazine stuff, ton of interviews. Followed it up with some shows. But then 90 hit,
yeah.
Especially 91. It ended up just being the grunge era hit, and our music wasn't, flavor of the month anymore.
Right.
Kind of went into a bit of a hiatus. I had actually signed a multi-album deal, I think it was 97, with Dwell Records to do a number of tribute albums.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you ever heard any of them.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, did covers on albums. Motorhead, Sabbath, Priest,
cool,
Scorpions, Saxon, Ozzy. There was like 10 of them on Dwell Records. You have to look them for them on YouTube.
Look that up. I'm wondering.
And signed a multi-album deal there, and that kind of kept me busy because I'd have to, get in the studio and call some of my buddies. Glenn did most of them. We would do we did Children of the Grave by Black Sabbath, Over the Mountain by Ozzy, Saxon. We did 747.
Oh yeah, great song.
Planes in the Night. Yeah, well, I'm not a huge Saxon fan, but that record was the one I had.
Okay.
The first record, Wheels of Steel.
Yeah.
And when I bought that, I mean, literally nobody knew who Saxon was. I bought it just record looked cool at a record store.
Right.
And I put it on, and Motorcycle Man, that song that's like 20 minutes long or something. I think the best thing that I'd always had going for me in this metal career was, I'd pull my wallet out. And I was the guy that was always buying early Scorpions, early UFO, records early Priest. No one where I lived. I mean, who's that?
Yeah.
But I would go to little record stores in Pasadena that would get import records.
Cool.
And I would dig through them, and I'd find stuff. I mean, normal people here that would just go to the warehouse or Music Plus or your generic record stores to buy the record, they would never find this stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it influenced me.
It sounds like you really immersed yourself in all of that. Yeah,
Angel Witch Fiend.
Oh yeah, great bands.
Yeah, stuff like that. I'd heard of. Most of the people, who's that?
Right.
So that's I attribute myself to parting with some cash to do my homework, I guess.
Yeah.
Well schooled.
So what got you guys back in the studio with to do King of Kings? Well, you said you had been working on material, you and Rocky, but
yeah. Great question. So like I said, me and Rocky never lost touch. We always stayed bros. He was really my brother from another mother early on. And we'd get together at his house or my house and with our guitar and bass and just always kept busy. Get a drummer together, jam with a drummer. But I get this, and I got married in 91, like I said, to this beautiful lady, Savant. In 91, the other guys got married as well. And I get this fax. We get a fax in around 95. They wanted to reissue the Metal Blade stuff. This is before King of Kings. This is leading up to King of Kings. They wanted to reissue it on CD because, as it turns out, it had only come out on cassette and vinyl.
Oh, wow.
The Metal Blade stuff. It wasn't on CD yet. They hadn't released our stuff, which we were happy about. It's like, well, maybe now we can make a few bucks.
Yeah.
You know, and had my attorney talk to Metal Blade and everything. They said, okay, we release you. All the guys have their own, you guys own your own music. So, if you guys want to do it on your own, go ahead, So if I hadn't had the attorney get a hold of him, I don't know what happened, but luckily I did. I started getting smart.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being two labels over there in Germany that both wanted to put the first two albums out on CD. And I had my attorney handle it all.
Cool.
And he would call me, middle of the day on a Thursday. Hey, you just got back to us. Well, look, they're both about the same. They both give you this much money. Both going to put those out, both regular CDs. And do you have any, extra tracks you can put on them? They're all both asking for extra bonus tracks and stuff. I'm like, yeah, we could probably get something like that together. And then he calls me back the next day and says, wait, one of them blew the other doors off. The other one says, are you guys still around? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm still jamming with Rocky. He said, the other one said they'll bring you, Greg, to Germany for 2 weeks to do in-store appearances to build up for your new record coming out. I said, you got to be freaking kidding me.
Oh, wow.
They said, no. If you can still get it together and you got another 10 songs in the chamber, let's pull the trigger. Because they're dying new Tyrant. And so I called Rocky that night. He's like, get over here. Let's drink some beers and think about it. And I told him, dude, I leave in 2 weeks. I already told him yes. He's like, well, good thing, because fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we've got 10 songs we've been working on already. King of Kings, man. And that record right there, then we told Glenn was down. He had, because of the thing, a horrible marriage went awry, and his wife, their little daughter, almost dying. We'd heard that he started going to church. And he just thought he'd been too evil at some point. And better start going to church because of this horrible stuff in his life. Divorce, kid almost dying. It was almost like a Robert Plant thing where Robert Plant lost his first kid.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dancing with the devil too much, you got to pay your dues or something. I don't know. But so anyway, so he entitled it King of Kings, and I was fine with it. I was living more of a normal life myself. So King of Kings, that record, and he wrote all the lyrics to it. We wrote all the music. We found an out-of-work construction worker to come in and play drums who had a place to practice. Great guy, Tom Meadows. He moved away. He was that construction worker. I think he followed the work. He was like an iron worker or something. Great guy, and we recorded it with him, with Bill Montoyer. And sometimes, I think like him, he didn't realize, Bill Montoyer, until the internet came out, who he was working with,
Right.
He got a chance to work with this guy who's, has gold records out and stuff. So it was an honor for him, for all of us to do King of Kings. Now, again, it did come out in 96 and did really well in Germany. We were on radio every day. Like I said, I was over there for 2 weeks doing in-store appearances. But still, it was during the grunge period.
Right, yeah.
So, over here, we didn't hear anything. I don't even think it got put out over here. It was just in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah. Over here, they just kind of, We ended up doing some shows. We actually played with Quiet Riot over here.
Oh, cool.
A big KNAC radio was a little radio station that was kind of dying because of the grunge. They switched over and started playing all grunge, Soundgarden and all this stuff. But the one big show that we did after bringing King of Kings out was with Quiet Riot. And it was all the original members except Sarzo, which was a bunch, because I really like Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah.
I really love his bass playing. I would have loved to have met him and stuff. But it was Cavazzo on guitar, Frankie Benelli, who's really cool. He was telling, I remember Tyrant, you guys were around Hollywood all the time. He lived in Hollywood. He'd say he'd always come when we'd play, he'd be there.
Oh, nice.
Frankie Benelli, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Great guy. But the singer, Dubrow, they played the night before in San Diego when we played with them, and he just like didn't show up almost until he missed their sound check. Didn't tell anybody in his band. I mean, that day we were hanging out with Quiet Riot at a bar next door, waiting to do sound check and load the gear in, and they didn't know where their singer was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so we were like there. I think it was I don't know who their bass player was. They had like a fill-in bass player, but we remember Cavazzo from his band Snow. He used to have, and they played around the time Van Halen played.
Yeah.
So we kind of took up a conversation. He was like from Pasadena, so we ended up hanging out with Cavazzo and Bonelli and their fill-in bass player at a bar next door. And man, we were having a great time. We were just drinking beers all day with them out there. It was supposed to be sound checking, but we were just all partying. They were telling us how their tour was going, and they had those big hits, bang your head.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But metal was dead. And they're playing, bar and grills. Although the place we were playing with them was a good sized venue, they were playing arenas before that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it kind of showed where music was in 96, 97. Bands like Quiet Riot were playing, bars.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
Yeah, not making money. Rudy was gone because he played with Ozzy.
Yeah.
He with Ozzy and Randy. I think they were still going. I'm not sure. But he was jamming with somebody. He wasn't going to be playing bars and grills.
Yeah, he might have been with Whitesnake at the time. I'm not sure. He's done a
Yeah,
lot of stuff, so.
He was a killer bass player who could stay busy.
Yeah.
Great guy, too. Great guy from right here. But so, like I said, we did that record, which at that time, King of Kings was me and Rocky. I don't know about the rest of them, but that was like our favorite record at that time. More than Legions and Too Late to Pray. Because we kind of got a second lease on life. It was the whole way it came about. Getting a random fax.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
And then 2 labels wanting us, sweetening the pot by bringing me over there. I said, can I bring Rocky with me? And no, just you. That's like, oh, okay. We just want you.
Interesting.
You only. No, not Rocky. Just you. You started band. We must come drink beer. Oh, okay. Drink beer. You just want me. All right. And so they flew me out and just, treated me like a king. It was great. The German people, we love them. And what's funny, the Germans didn't know, is I'm from German descent.
Oh, okay, cool.
My dad had just done, before his passing in 2017, we were told we were German anyway. I mean, of course, anyone in California and America, we come from somewhere.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The Indians were here before. So I was always told that I was German and then Scotch and Welsh or something. But my dad, before his passing in 2017, had just recently done one of these, they advertise all the time. They do a blood test on you. You send in your DNA.
Yeah.
They come back with all this stuff. I wasn't about to do it. But my dad did it, and he said he was 99 and 9/10% German.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my dad was actually more German than some people in Germany. Funny. So I've always had the contact with the Germans anyway. Before that, I always knew my family was from Hanover or whatever, and I heard the Scorpions were from there. And early Scorpions to me were right there with Sabbath. I mean, I just those early Scorpions records, I couldn't listen to enough.
Yeah, great stuff. Great
stuff.
stuff.
I had the 8-track of Tokyo tapes.
Oh, yeah.
I would play in my van driving around town. And it would just, I didn't pull it out for weeks. It would just go on a loop on those 8-tracks.
Yeah.
And play night and day of the 8-tracks. I also had Michael Schenker's first solo record, MSG. It was a blue 8-track. Had Into the Arena and...
oh, yeah, cool.
So really, the Scorpions and UFO, that German music really hit me hard. And it did something in my blood to where I felt a real connection.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah. So you're asking what happened in '96? That's what happened. And it was funny. Whenever I went over to Germany, my wife, my beautiful wife, was like 9 months pregnant.
Oh no!
With our first son. And out of respect and out of love, I told her. I said, "Honey, look, and she knew. She knew you're getting asked, and they had talked about it all the time in the 80s, us going to Europe, us going to Mexico, us, doing all this stuff with Metal Blade Records. And it just never panned out, never happened.
Right.
But the people just, flakes or what it was, But she said, this is real. This person is giving you money. They're paying you. You're going to go over there for 2 weeks and get paid, to do these in-store appearances. They're going to give you money to find Bill Matoyer, do a new album. We need the money.
Yeah, you got it. It's kind of no-brainer, right?
Yeah. I was a construction worker between jobs at sometimes, a few extra bucks never hurt us, We got a kid on the way.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
My wife said, absolutely, don't even think of it. I said, but honey, you're 9 months pregnant, leaving you behind. She said, do it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I've been watching you play since day one. This is your dream. We'll always be here for you.
Cool.
Go do it. Make the money, come back, And sure enough, I had my attorney get a hold of him and said, when does Greg get on the plane? And an 18-hour flight. I had a layover in Amsterdam. This is at 96. Amsterdam, I had a layover there for 4 hours, and I was not going to get in trouble. Right there in the airport, because there were people telling me, oh, you got to go out in the town and go to the coffee shops.
Yeah.
You'll have a blast. And yeah, what happens? I don't get back in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Just like stuck in a foreign country. I played it safe.
Good.
I played it and had a few beers. You'll see on YouTube, I ended up doing an interview over there with a young who brought me on the steps of a Blind Guardian concert to put me on TV.
Oh,
it was really cool, an interview. Yeah, she's a little better looking than you, but, what do you do?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure she was.
There's a lot of They're probably better looking when they're younger. So was I. But it was an easy decision to do it. And that's when I came back. I called Rocky. I called Glenn. We found a drummer. I called Bill Matoyer. I told him I got, pockets full of cash. I'm going to give you most of it, And he's like, awesome. He could use the work too.
Yeah, that's cool.
What do you think of King of Kings? Have you listened to the whole album?
Yeah. It's been a while. I haven't heard it for a while. I need to listen to it again. Yeah, there's great stuff on there. Yeah, really cool stuff.
I'm hearing somebody on the loudspeaker.
Oh, really?
Something's on the loudspeaker out in front of my... Hey, hold on 1 minute, okay?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you. On track, I think we were around King of Kings time.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. You would ask me about the album. Yeah, I think it's a great album. I think there's a lot of great material on there. So then, we fast forward, 20 years, really, more than 20 years.
2009?
Kind of how, what was that evolution? Kind of, coming forward, with the band and with your writing and.
Yeah. 96. Here we go, the big Germany thing. Everybody's at that time is saying, when's the new album coming out? When's the new album coming out? We do King of Kings, comes out like end of 96. No internet, no anything. It just comes out, and the only way I got anything was a fax machine.
Right. Wow.
Or somebody got my address somewhere and sent me something. But there was really you couldn't see how you did well.
Right.
Or did anything. Couldn't find Kerrang! Magazine anymore. The little stores were gone, out of business. Everything just started drying up, but it was fun to do that record. We were really proud of that record. We had much more insight into like my bass sound.
Yeah.
This is how I wanted my bass to be sound. I wanted it more up front. We started heading that direction. We wanted to sound more like what we sounded like, and not like Judas Priest.
Right.
Because we'd come out there and we wouldn't sound anything like the record, So Bill started putting my bass more up front, to where when you hear my bass live and it's carrying it, the rhythms, it's sound more like a. So yeah, 96. We're all married. I've had my son now when I got back from Germany. My dad. Rocky's had 2 kids, 2 boys. Glenn had a daughter. Then a divorce and remarried. drummer had a kid. We all started being like around that age, kind of growing up, to tell you the truth. We weren't those young punks in the 80s anymore.
Right.
Now we're dads and we're husbands, and we're having to grow up, which we were fine with. We all started like having our own companies, careers, away from music, and started doing well. I bought my own home in Southern California here in '02.
Okay.
Me and my wife, bought a Southern California property. Not a lot of people have property in Southern California. I'm blessed to say I do, and the best investment I've ever made for the future of my family. And
yeah, definitely.
It's been great. So '09. The '90s. We do all the way through the '90s. We do those Dwell records. The tribute ones I'm telling you about. We're staying busy doing that. 2008 comes around, and bang, another fax. Any way of getting the guys together? We want to fly you to Germany to headline a festival called Keep It True.
Cool.
Again, no real internet in 2009. Eventually I got onto Facebook and all that, but I'm a little old school. It's like, you want to talk to me? Call me on a landline at my house.
All right.
You want to see me? Come knock on my door. If I'm not eating dinner, I'll answer. That's me. I'm just really old school. I'm from that time.
Yeah.
But we get this fax in 2008 that says, could Tyrant come back and play? First of all, how you guys doing? Could you come back and play a big festival, I think 4,000 people, 5,000 people, in Germany? Do you know where the guys are? Can you get one of the original members?
Oh, wow.
If I could get the original members, we would headline, or at least co-headline. And that would mean an hour plus set. And I'm like, well, it had been a while since I'd talked to Rocky, because as my son grew up, I got very involved in his sports programs.
Right, yeah.
Coach Greg.
Cool.
And I coached all his football teams and his basketball teams.
Oh, wow.
And I messed him up in baseball, although I was an all-star catcher growing up. I really wasn't. Didn't have a good batting average. I couldn't really bat, so I wanted him to have someone else teach him how to bat. And he ended up just being a killer. I mean, he was fourth batter day one to day end, putting him in other cities. A big kid.
Nice.
They got home runs, and I was so happy for that. He could have gone that way and went D1 easy. But he went all football and ended up having a shoulder injury. It took him out.
No.
Yeah, but we no regrets. He grew up. He's got these blood brothers that he grew up with 3 different sports that haven't missed a day. And he's been out of school since 2015. And cool. He's got blood brothers that he was on the field spilling other people's bloods and winning and losing games just like I did. And that was number one for us, to have brothers and friends like that.
Yeah.
But that's what we started doing. I wasn't involved in the metal. So 2008, they hit me up, can you get together by 2009? So I ended up finding this piece of paper that had Rocky. Of course, I knew where Glenn was. I called him. He's down to do it. I said, we got to find Rocky and we got to find Rob. And I said, I had this piece of paper because I saw Rocky somewhere. I'd kind of lost touch a little bit because Rocky moved. He wasn't at this house. Something happened.
Okay.
He was at the house, and all of a sudden he moved because I had gone by there and he was gone. And it was weird in those times. It's like, really didn't have cell phones either yet.
Yeah.
It was just a weird time. Getting a hold of people were a little harder than it became. We weren't Facebook friends. You had to find people by, going around knocking on doors or talking to people.
Right, yeah.
But my wife, she grew up with like Rocky's younger brother, his age. I was telling you about him. And she's like, I have his wife's number, because she was friends with Rocky's little brother. We're all internet people, not internet. We're all intertwined here in where we grew up. So my wife actually called Michael's little brother's wife and said, Greg would like to talk to Rocky. He's had an offer to go to Germany to get all the guys back together and headline. and my wife said she could hear on there, what? He's going back to Germany, yeah. So, wow, the excitement just blew up.
Nice.
We'll call Rocky. We know where he is. Next thing I know, my phone rang right back, and like 15 minutes later, dude, what's up?
Cool.
I'm like, hey, you want to go to Germany and blow the doors off the place? That's like, hell yeah. I live in Azusa. I'm like, you live in that's like the one city over from here.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, you're in Azusa? He was in Arcadia before. He's like, no, I'm in Azusa. I'm like, dude, I'll walk over to your house. Who knew he was that close, Like a 5-minute drive.
Nice.
Studio in my garage, bring your bass gear, leave it here. And I said, well, okay. So the only thing we got to do now is find Rob. He's like, you haven't seen Rob? I'm like, no. He's like, he's got a custom Hummer. You know what those are?
Yeah, yeah.
He had a white custom Hummer with the Misfits skull on the back.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, back of his Hummer was that logo of the Misfits, the skull.
Nice.
He's like, you can't miss that. I said, I think I have seen one driving around. He's like, dude, he lives right by you.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, he lives, he's south of you, but he lives down off Arrow Highway, and he's got a condo down there. He's single. He just goes to work and then parties at the bars and buying everybody drinks. I said, freaking Rob,
Wow.
And he lived in Tyrant because his parents or his dad ran a huge company called Avon Cosmetics, a worldwide company. His dad said, quit fooling around with this heavy metal. You ain't going anywhere. Be an international ambassador for Avon Cosmetics. So that's why he left the band.
Oh, interesting.
His dad didn't agree with what we were doing. We were thought of as just this evil rock band.
Right.
He better play before, something horrible happened to him. So he did. He bailed on us, and that's when we brought in the other drummer for Too Late to Pray, G. Stanley Burtis, who was just a monster.
Yeah.
We all loved Rob. He was a real brother. He always was. But anyway, so the next thing you know, I'm knocking on the door. Rob Roy, the big guy, comes out and bear hugs me and says, my God, I missed you and all this stuff. How did we ever, grow apart? I'm like, hey, things are always meant for a reason. What's going on? I said, well, you need to learn music from 3 albums now. But he was only on the first one.
Okay, yeah, that's right, yeah.
He wasn't on Too Late to Pray or King of Kings. So he's like, fine, I'll do it. Let's do it. Gung ho, man. I'm going to go get some tattoos. Get ready for this show. And he had to go buy a drum set. He spent like $1,500, got this killer drum set.
Oh, wow.
He didn't even have a drum set. And he's like, I'm going to go block out studio time in the studio. I'll pay for it all myself. So he got a drum set. He got a studio over here, next city over, blocked it out 24/7 with our own key. And he learned the material from Too Late to Pray, King of Kings.
Cool.
And here we were, the 4 horsemen back together again.
That is great. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was a good thing. It was we were a scary bunch. We were a scary bunch when we'd all get together. We'd roll into bars and clubs, and here we came. We were a formidable bunch. We were like the front 4 for the Rams back in the day, we used to say.
Right.
We were the fearsome foursome and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was great to all be together, and we got a hold of Germany, told them, hey, we're all 4 back together again. We're working on the stuff, and they said, okay, get prepared to come to Germany. So wow, it was just amazing.
That's so cool. That's great.
And we went back, and that. Well, I'll let you ask some more questions, but that in its turn, that turned everything around to where we are now.
That's great. That's really cool. That's amazing. So that's really kind of what got the band back together and kind of, got you guys playing again. And
absolutely. We were all caught up in our own lives, our careers away from music, which we'd all been successful and doing okay. Our own marriages or divorces and remarriages. Not me, though. I did it right the first time.
Yeah, good for you.
But involved with my son's sports, and really, me and my son are like best friends.
Nice.
I mean, through wins and losses in baseball, basketball, and football. And that really bonded us.
Cool.
Growing up to where we're like best friends. We do all kinds of stuff together. now, even though he's 26 and bigger than me. He's
That's great.
to do stuff with his dad. We most recently we went to WrestleMania in Texas
Oh, nice.
to see the Undertaker. We're huge wrestling fans. My
Nice.
grandpa was actually a wrestler in Texas
Oh,
back
wow.
in the day, but real wrestling. But it seemed like a lot of the moves they would do were a lot what the pro wrestlers do today.
Right.
But we're big Undertaker fans. We love the Undertaker, of course. And he went into the Hall of Fame in Texas just a couple of months ago, and we were there. We
Oh,
were
cool.
there to see that. We went to WrestleMania. And, yep.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So fast forward now, you guys are getting ready to go to Mexico and
Yes. Yeah.
tear it up.
What happened before that was when we let Glenn go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was 2017. He played with us in after 2009. We did many festivals. Every year we started doing festivals all across the country.
Cool.
After 2009, all across the country, and then to 2017, last festival we did with Glenn was in Greece,
Oh, okay.
up the Hammers, and he just made some real mistakes. I don't know if you've been to Greece or not,
I have not.
but you got to go. I'm telling you right now, put your coins away and go.
Cool.
Athens, the city of Athens, will just boggle your mind. They have a place called the Acropolis or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, the Acropolis. Yeah.
Basically, the apocalypse, the cradle of civilization, they call it. And I mean, there's things hundreds and hundreds of years old there, and they talk about the war they had there, things blown to bits, but where Zeus lived, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just the Greek mythology and stuff.
Yeah, very
Just
cool.
unbelievable. And I brought my wife for this one.
Nice.
I said, "There's no way I can go to this place and leave you behind." So she came with me, and we went through all that together. Actually, I let the band go their opposite ways, and me and my wife just enjoyed it together.
Cool.
Actually, we got on a plane and took another flight to Santorini. Oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah.
these are
Beautiful.
beautiful places and mystical, special places I've ever seen in my life. We went there, then we flew back to not Amsterdam, to Athens, got Rocky, and then flew home.
Oh, wow.
We left Rocky there with the drummer. He had a blast. All the bands were still there.
Nice.
About later, yeah, oh yeah. But so we stayed busy. So 2017, when we played in Greece, these guys made a real bad decision. It was very hot there. It was like summertime. It was like 90 degrees there. I didn't know it got so hot. And then they went to the Acropolis or whatever it is the day we played. And you don't do that the day you play. Me and my wife went the day after. I mean, there's no air there. You're basically hiking straight up and down, 45 degrees for about 2 hours.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm sure it killed lesser people.
Yeah.
But we had at the time, Blake had stepped in, and then Rocky and Glenn, they did it. Me and my wife did it too, but we did it the day after. And he came back down that thing, and then had to walk on stage, Rocky and Glenn and Blake. And they were gone.
Right.
They were gone. They were purple.
Oh, jeez.
He had to hit the stage in Greece and play, and Glenn had no air. He would struggle just to get the words out on stage singing and didn't say a word between songs. It was just this odd silence.
Weird, yeah.
It had really gone south. Still, a lot of the people were screaming. They were happy to see us, and the music sounded halfway decent. But we realized, Glenn, I don't know, his decision making it was such a big gig to us at the time, and he treated it like it was just, playing nowhere.
Right.
He didn't give it the sense of urgency or specialness that I had thought it would get, by doing that. So it kind of started leading to an end for him. And then once Rocky and I had written the 10th song and had it already demoed with Ron on the drums, we gave Glenn the demo, and we said, okay, what do you got? There's 10 new songs from Tyrant. We had them on a disc with a, crappy mix, but we threw them in our cars, and I couldn't pull it out. I mean, it was all the music you're hearing. Fires Burn, Hereafter, Dancing on Graves, Until the Day, Bucolic. It didn't have any song titles, but it was just all that music.
Cool.
Yeah, and we were so excited. We're like, wow, we got new music now, a new album. And we'd had label interest. And I kept leaving it for my brother, and he just would sit on it. Yeah, I'll get to it. He said, I'm working nights and blah, blah, blah. And this is after Grease, where he had a real bad showing. So I said, I can't sit on this any longer. I was approached by Shadow Kingdom Records, the label that we're with now.
Okay.
And great respect for them, everything they've done. Night Demon, who else they've done. I've seen their records and the promotion, and nothing but first class. This Tim McGowan, the owner, he's just class act. And I said, well, I don't want to screw this up.
Right.
And Glenn better get on the case. So I gave him like another week, and he just couldn't come to the table. And I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I've been really good friends with this guy, Robert Lowell, on Facebook for a long time. In Candlemass, these heavy bands, Solitude, Eternus, they're dark and doom and heavy. And I knew when I talked to him, he was just this hillbilly from Texas. Like, what? Yeah, a hillbilly from Texas. That's where I'm from. You got to be kidding me. My family's from Texas. So we start talking. I said, I thought you were in this Candlemass. You live in a castle somewhere in England or something. I know a guy did, but not me. I'm from Texas. Okay. So we started talking really good. We started hitting this common stride of being from Texas. And most of my relatives talk the same way that were from Texas. Odessa, they're football players. So I said, hey, Rob, what about I send this demo tape out to you? And this is like 2017, right about the time that Glenn choked over in Greece. And sure, send it. So he gave me his address. I sent him the 10 new songs we had written, Fires Burn, all this stuff. But of course, I had no song titles. It was just the music.
Right.
He gets back to me like quick. I figured he'd sit on it for a while and let it seep into him. But he said no. He said he threw it in the CD player and didn't pull it out till it was all done. And he said he would be on this stuff like a duck on a June bug. That's what they say in Texas.
All right. Nice.
I'd like a duck on a June bug. In other words, I love this stuff. I'd be on it in a second. So I said, okay, time to make a change.
Wow.
And yeah, we had another festival. I mean, the phone's ringing off the hook. We had a Frost and Fire festival. You hear about that?
Yeah. I've read about that before.
Yeah, we were asked to play. And it's in California. It's just right up the coast. It was actually a 3-hour drive to Ventura. Didn't fly, just drove it. I said, well, Rob, get your butt out here. And to me, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan. We are here, me and my son. Do you remember when Hulk Hogan went bad guy?
Yeah.
and went out there with the NWO with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and turned on Macho Man?
Right, yeah.
It's kind of what it reminded me of. Not so much that we turned on a good guy with a bad guy, but we had Rob come in, flew in early. We jammed for about an hour and a half here at the local studio the day of the show.
Oh, wow.
And we said, here's the thing. We're just going to go out there and do all this new material, do all the new songs. And whatever Rob had ready is what he'll do. And the fans were not warned. Our fans who'd been since day one loving Warriors of Metal, Battle of Armageddon, Legions of the Dead,
Yeah.
Tulip to Pray, King of Kings. I mean, they yell and they yell and they yell for these songs when we play live. We didn't do one of those songs.
Wow.
It was almost like turning our back on the faithful. And it hurt some of them. I heard about it after the show. They would say, what the hell happened? But Rob's pretty damn cool, and we like that new stuff. So
Yeah.
like, oh, thank God. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, what? And so we went out there. The curtains drew back. We headlined after Night Demon went off, and we hit them in the face with 10 new songs with whatever Rob came up with as far as lyrics.
Cool.
And it was a little sketchy. It really was a little sketchy. We kind of look at each other because I don't think Rob totally had it down at that point. Right. I mean, obviously he wasn't singing what he's singing now. it wasn't until he went in the studio with Bill Montoya and previously with me and Rocky that he came up, with real lyrics to this music. It was just kind of catch as catch can, I call it, being a wrestling fan. But it was cool. He would throw his Robert Lowe stuff out there.
Nice.
The stuff that he did. And that's when you'd go, oh, yeah, that's that guy. You'd hear him, just the stuff he did with Candlemass. The stuff.
Yeah, he's got such a cool voice.
Fan of it. That's why I went that. Yeah, that's why I went. Especially Solitude Aeternus.
Yeah.
For the records there, I just love to death. And I was saying, wow, if I could get this guy in my band, we would be formidable. Because they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They've been dead since the 90s. And Candlemass, I think before that, has been dead. So he told me, yeah, he was just in a cover band with a roommate.
Wow. Doing
Kiss, Cheap Trick covers. I said, well, keep doing that if you want. Have fun. But I have some original stuff for you to do. And long story short, he's been with us ever since.
That's cool.
And, yeah, it was a really good experience. Great guy. It wasn't easy. I mean, it's never easy when your singer lives in another state.
Yeah, it makes it a little tricky, but...
And sometimes it's 3 or 4 different states since 2017.
Right.
We've got a bit of the gypsy in him.
Well, maybe we can get him to eventually make his way to California.
The offer's on the table.
Yeah.
The offer's on the table. I think we could really be a force.
Yeah.
If you could get out here. We could really take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that album is, Hereafter is such a strong album. I mean, just from like the first note, it just grabs you.
Thank you so much. We're so proud of it. It was a long time coming.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Like starving yourself for a long time, and well, I won't use that analogy, but and then having a great meal, like a steak dinner. You're definitely ready to eat.
Yeah.
And when we went in the studio with Bill, we ate, and we ate, and we ate, and so did Bill, so did all of us. Like I say, my bass playing on the record, well, I'm just a bass player, I don't try to be, Billy Sheehan or something, go out there and do leads. But I was really proud of how the sound came together. The way he worked with me on my bass sound. To make it prominent on the album and to make it sound like a 4-piece.
Yeah.
That's really important to me. I really wanted to sound like what we sound like.
Yeah.
And if you ask Rocky, Greg's always too damn loud. But being a 4-piece band, the bass has to be loud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the...
Those have always been, Sabbath. Early Van Halen, I used to sit right there next to Michael Anthony, and he was loud. Anthony he had an influence on me when I was really young. Early Van Halen was a killer band.
Yeah,
I saw him doing that Van Halen's first album in little clubs or backyards.
That's wild.
He'd open up with Running with the Devil. He'd go out there, dun, 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 and just be like shaking the walls. I'm like, oh, that's what I got to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
cool.
bad. Oh, they were badass.
Yeah. Well, I would say you guys are pretty badass, so.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrant is pretty badass.
Utah's badass. We went on vacation there in Utah, where you are, and we went to Zion Park.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
It was so nice there. I just wanted to give you a shout-out on that.
Oh,
Utah's really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice place. Well,
but,
Greg,
yeah, that almost brings us full circle now because we have the change. We have the new singer in from Candlemass, Robert Lowe, great guy from Texas. Me and him have this common bond of Texas, being that my family is from Texas. Talked about a lot of stuff. 2 rednecks, 2 hillbillies. Yeah. And then the new album with Bill Montoya comes out, 2020. COVID hits. Nothing will be the same again. Everything gets shut down, but the record is still well received. And it ends up on a lot of top 10, top 20s.
Yeah.
Number ones. I think in Decibel magazine we made top 10.
Yeah.
And Rock Hard magazine we made top 10 or top 20 for the year. Ahead of a lot of, the new bands on the
Yeah, yeah.
That did well. I won't mention names, but we came kind of almost out of nowhere with no real build-up. With a new singer and with new material, we were doing okay chugging along with the old Metal Blade lineup, doing festivals and, still playing that material is great. But for us just to all of a sudden now take a swerve
Yeah.
with a singer and all new material, we really took a chance.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, you guys have been touring, but yeah, you hadn't put out anything since '96. And all of a sudden, yeah,
Yeah,
it seemed like it just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously you guys were building it, but as a
yeah,
fan, it just came out of
yeah,
nowhere. It's like, whoa, Tyrant has a new album. Are you kidding me? Like, where
yes,
is that
yeah,
coming from? Like, and then you hear it like, this is amazing. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
You know, we,
it's incredible.
you could PM me your address. I gotta send you a shirt or something.
Okay, cool, cool.
I really appreciate this time with you and
Yeah,
just
this has been great, Greg. Thank you so much for your
really
time.
appreciate people like you and yourself. We really appreciate you giving us this time to connect with our fans or connect with people in general.
Yeah, this has been a blast. So,
Great, great story for any band to be like us. Around in the '80s, we're telling them everything. How we hit a certain marginal of success. We're just kind of hitting a pinnacle with our second record, and then Nirvana hits, and everything falls down.
yeah.
And then now we finally fight our way back all the way with a new singer from Candlemass. Oh, yeah. And Bill Matoyer and Shadow Kingdom Records. And if I'm leaving anybody out, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
And then
great.
we finally gets out in 2020, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, oh, man.
So it's almost like the same thing. Nirvana and COVID have both could bring a band to their knees between the two of them. But, Tyrant, like people used to say, it's not just a name of a band, it's a way of life.
Yeah, yeah,
We just keep putting one foot in front of the other and always moving forward. We really don't take any steps back. And just when you think we're gone, they're dust. They're dust. Like you say, here we come.
yeah. Very cool.
And
Very
there's
cool.
no plans right now, in summary, to do anything other than the new album.
Cool.
Even though I always have my riffs. I mean, when I sit down and pick up my bass, I am playing new stuff. I do have new riffs that could be as heavy, if not heavier, than anything on Hereafter.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'll
Very
never
good.
say never that I couldn't do another record again. But this one here has just not been celebrated enough.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
2020, it seems like yesterday for us anyway. We haven't had a chance to do anything with this one. And it's not one let's put it this way. There are bands, I think, that put a record out in 2020 with us, maybe even some on our label, that I didn't see on any of the charts with us.
Yeah.
That just did nothing.
Yeah.
And now putting out another one this year. And it's like, why are you doing that?
Right. Yeah. You gotta.
Like, why don't you try to make something out of that record instead of just, okay, that one didn't do well. Let's just go ahead and grind another one out. That's their gig. That's their gig, fine. But let's just grind another one out because that one didn't make it. It's like, what are you going to do any different? That's
Yeah.
going to now get this one out there. But anyway,
Yeah.
no, we don't. There's no plans immediately. The only plans now would be to play
Cool.
and to play them from Hereafter.
That's great news. That's great news. Well, Greg, this
Yeah.
has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for
Right.
chatting with me. I really enjoyed this and just such a great history of a great band. And to get the inside story, like, I knew little things, I've read things, but just, to hear
Yes.
it straight from the man himself, it's cool to hear it
Yeah.
and learn more about all the intricacies. And yeah, this has been great. So thank you
Yeah.
so very
Yeah.
much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. God bless you too. And thank God for your